South Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators. Fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again. Magdalene, chauffeured, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. Welcome back to the channel. It's another day, another dollar video. And I'm going to be reacting to the deadly beef inside a small Swedish town. Shottaz versus DP. Somebody asked me to react to this. I was going to do it another day, but I figured, you know what, this looks interesting. I might as well check it out now. Also, small little fact about me. I had a girlfriend that was from Sweden, Stockholm, back in 2013. She was actually one of the best girlfriends I ever had, too. And she was bad. She was Armenian, but she was living in Sweden. Like, she was born in Sweden. Beautiful. She looked like Kim Kardashian. I ain't even gonna lie to you. And she was actually, like, mad good to me. Like, one of the best girlfriends I ever had, buying me shit. You know, it was, you know, even exchange. I would take care of her, too. But, yeah, that was a good time, man. That was a good time. Her name was Florence, too. Anyway, yeah, that's a little small side fact about me. I don't know anything about this, so we're going to check it out. And if there's any music with these guys also, let me know, man, so I can start reacting to some Swedish artists. Let's check this joint out, man.
Two men in their 20s have been shot dead in Stockholm in an apparent gangland killing. Swedish police say they were sitting in a car in a suburb northwest of the capital where gangs have been fighting
Sweden
turf
was safe
wars.
too,
It brings the
compared to
number
other
of dead
places.
in such attacks to 5 in the past week, 7 since the start of the year.
So when we think of gang warfare, we mainly think of America, England, or maybe some third world country, but not Sweden. In this video, we will be going through a deadly war in the capital city of Sweden called Stockholm, which despite Sweden being a country of only 10 million, made Sweden have the highest gun deaths in the whole of Europe in 2018. Let's get into it.
Shout out to Kid Nerd too, by the way. I just subscribed to this channel.
Okay, so like I said before, we are going inside the capital city of Sweden called Stockholm. More specifically, a small town inside Stockholm called Rinkeby, home of 2 of the most ruthless gangs in the country. Now, Sweden for quite a few decades now has had quite an open and relaxed policy towards asylum-seeking refugees. The country was quite notorious for letting residents of war-torn countries like Syria and Somalia claim asylum.
Listen, I don't think there's nothing wrong if y'all want to accept people into your country, especially refugees. But you got to realize some of those people that you're accepting, they're going to be criminals. They're going to be, you know, I don't want to say the word, but you know, extremists. And that's like with Scarface. They let Scarface come in from Cuba, and then look what happened, bro. He ended up turning into a kingpin. So there's a risk when y'all start accepting more people into your country, bro.
Inside their country. And when refugees would come in, there were a few towns normally they would be sent to. One of these towns being Rinkeby. In fact, Sweden actually has the highest asylum immigration per capita in the whole of Europe. But despite Swedish open door policies, a lot of the Swedish people wasn't as accepting to the new arrivals, and far right protests didn't make integration the easiest. Now Rinkeby is home to a massive Somali population who were escaping violent conflicts in their home country. But a lot of Somali people who moved to Rinkeby were struggling, and high unemployment rates and hard living was a common theme with the Somali immigrants who just moved in. So the kids of these immigrants had to get,
like, you accepting these people in and then you don't even have nowhere to put them, no jobs for them. What do you expect's gonna happen? They're gonna turn to crime
in another way, with the other way mainly being drug dealing and robberies. But on the 22nd of July 2015, a robbery gone wrong led to one of the worst bouts of violence Europe has ever seen. 4 Somali boys from Rinkeby planned and executed a robbery on a currency exchange in a city called Tabi. They ran off with around $200,000.
A currency exchange, bro. This is some GTA heist type of shit they doing right here.
And the robbery was talk of the town. But not everybody was happy about this. The robbers who executed this left out a couple younger members from the robbery, despite the younger members being part of the planning for it. The reason why the younger members were missed out was due to a previous robbery where one of them let off an unnecessary shot. So they were seen as a liability. The same day, the youngest started demanding money from the robbery, but they were getting shut down. The person who was thought to be behind the robbery was a 19-year-old called Izzy. Hours after the robbery, he was shot dead.
Wow, only 19 and he masterminded, and look, he ain't even get to enjoy the fruits of his labor. I don't want to say fruits of labor like it was a positive thing. I mean, like, you know, he ain't even get to spend none of that bread, bro. So listen, man. And this is me, like if I was at my most ruthless self, right? Because this is the streets. You have to be one step ahead of everybody. You got to be smarter than everybody, right? And that's why I'm retired from the street shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm still will violate you if you try to come at me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to avoid drama, right? But if I was in the streets, if I was in that lifestyle, bro, once I already know people are upset about something, you got to get rid of them, bro. Plain and simple. You're not going to have any liabilities, anybody that could come back against you, get you caught up. No. Once I know that, oh yeah, these dudes messed up the last time and they're going to feel some type of way because I'm leaving them out of this money, you know what you got to do, bro.
Starting the feud. The next day, the whole town is shaken by the brutal murder, and Izzy's friends were not happy. So Izzy's friends arranged to meet with some of the younger members who was meant to be involved in the robbery at a petrol station, with the younger members thinking that they might be getting their cut from the robbery when they arrived. Right. Instead, when they pulled up, 16 shots were let off onto the younger members, killing one 16-year-old and injuring the other, creating a big divide in the town between the younger and older Somali group of friends, with only 2 to 3 years separating them, with the older group who supported Izzy later calling themselves Shottaz, and the younger group calling themselves DP or Death Patrol. Now Rinkeby is a small town, real small, with less than 20,000 people living there, and a lot of the Somali community already knew what was about to happen, with some of the kids even relocating quite fast after these 2 days of carnage. But for a while it wasn't looking like a big issue inside the town, with only little spouts of arguments and fistfights, but no one was getting killed at this point. In Somali culture, there's something called blood money, where the families of the deceased get together with the families of the murderers and discuss to pay a price for the murder. The two families of the murdered got together but couldn't agree on the blood money ritual, but they did plan to have both of the murdered to be buried next to each other.
I mean, in hindsight, that would sound like it's a good idea, but you know, there's gonna be people that are angry, family members, relatives that they're going to be upset. And if things don't work out, it's going to even lead to more bloodshed in the future. So that's a crazy tradition that they got going,
to show some unity between the two. But this piece was cut short on the 2nd of December 2016.
What I just said, bro.
A member of the Shottaz gang called Indiana was visited by his brother who was living abroad in university. Indiana and his brother were spending some time together before his brother had to go back to uni, so visited the local cafe to get some food. Out of nowhere, 2 masked gunmen from the Death Patrol ran into the cafe and started letting off shots. The 2 brothers tried to escape but got trapped inside the washing room and both were shot to death, despite the brother not even having any affiliations, just being on a quick break from uni.
You see what happened there? The brother was a university student, never was involved with no street shit, but he had to pay the price for what his brother was involved with. So a lot of you people that get involved in gang shit and street shit, you gotta realize, bro, sometimes you don't pay the price. It's the people you love the most that pay the price for your actions, for your involvement. Let that be food for thought, man.
This caused outrage and forced everyone from the small town of Rinkeby to pick one side, Shottaz or Death Patrol, and the beef starts to intensify. December 31st, the man is shot in his car that is linked to the Death Patrol gang. He's shot 4.
You know what's the sad thing about it is too? It's them doing it to each other, bro. They're from the same place. They from Somalia. They share that Somalian bloodline. Feel me? They're supposed to be one people, unified, but they're doing it to each other. They're committing acts of violence against each other, bro. Wiping each other out. Does that make any sense to you that you should be doing that to somebody that's from where you from, looks just like you, has the same struggles, bro?
4 times in his legs, but left with non-life-threatening injuries. Next day, another man from the Death Patrol side is shot. This time he dies, lying on a residential street with a shot to the head. At this point, police are fed up and so are the Swedish nationals. And the far-right movement in the country starts to grow, with protests storming throughout the country, with Swedish nationals wanting immigration to stop inside their country. On the other side, the immigrant population of Rinkeby were also not happy. They believed they were being targeted by police and were starting to be unjustly dealt with. Early in 2017, an alleged violent drug-related arrest near a metro station left the residents of Rinkeby to have enough, and large riots started storming throughout the city, which led to looting, arson, and even fights towards the police. 3 people were injured and 2 arrested. This came days after the former President Trump let off a speech towards a migrant crisis in Sweden, saying immigration is a big factor towards the violence which is taking over the country, and the country was starting to get split in half, with integration between Swedish nationals and migrants as bad as ever, with areas like Rinkeby even being called no-go zones from nationals and the press.
Listen, I don't think there's a perfect solution, but you have to look at the stats and the facts, right? Was the crime rate bad before they let in all those people? No, it wasn't as bad as it is now after the fact, right? So, all right. There's nothing you could do about it now. They're already there, right? So now the police got to find out a way to do their jobs without going overboard, bro. Because sometimes we know how they could be. They could go overboard. They start abusing their power. And I don't agree with that. That's not, I don't like that. But they have to find a way to do their job efficiently without targeting the wrong people that have nothing to do with what they're looking at. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a perfect solution. But, the government is, at the end of the day, it's their job to know what the hell is going to happen when they allow people to come in. They should have measures set up for these people so they don't even fall into that life of crime. Or I don't know, bro. It's on the government. That's just blame them, bro. That's how we gotta blame.
Islamophobia and racism on the way up. But this didn't slow down the beef in the area, and it was the 8th of January when the Death Patrol gang struck again. This time in a pizza shop, when Hamza Abdi, a member of the Shottaz gang, was shot twice in the head. The shooting was caught on surveillance, and the police was desperate to find the killer. But it was seeming like this would be another unsolved case for the Swedish police, until 2 young boys were caught doing a robbery 2 months after the killing. One of these boys being a 16-year-old called Shaki. After they were caught by the police, they raided Shaki's house, where they found the same gun and clothes which were used in the murder of Hamza Abdi the month previous.
Bro, you didn't burn your clothes, bro? Rookie mistake, buddy.
Yes. They also matched Shaki's body type to the body type of the shooters. Now, Swedish sentences and prisons are very light compared to the rest of the world. Sweden has quite a different type of a prison system to most countries.
They got a hotel.
And they focus more on changing and helping the prisoners instead of punishing them. Like, the prison rooms look like uni accommodations, and it actually works with Sweden having the low...
Their prisons are like uni accommodations, so it's like they're going to university campus, bro. They don't have a cell. They have a dorm room. That is crazy. And I do respect the fact that they try to actually rehabilitate them instead of just treating them like animals. I feel like you have to have a fine line between rehabilitation and punishment. Because at the end of the day, some of them dudes will never change and they will go back to a life of crime if you want to be honest about it. So you got to have a thin line between both.
Lowest reoffending rate in the whole of Europe. So even despite Shaki committing a murder, he was only sentenced to 3 years in a youth care unit. I'm not really sure how this really works, because it would only make sense that having such light sentences would make people not really care about committing crimes. But on the other hand, I guess if you focus more on helping and educating the criminals, who more time probably had a harsh background, they'll have new skills and a new outlet to come out on. But with Shaki, this wasn't the case. He wanted to get out. So Shaki was on day release when he went out to a shopping mall.
He committed another crime.
2 guards. But also in the shopping mall was 2 of Shaki's friends waiting for him. Once they spotted Shaki, the 2 boys started threatening the guards and then escaped with Shaki. And they were on the run for months. A nationwide manhunt was out to find them. And many members from the Death Patrol gang got raided, but there was no luck.
And you know what's foul about that whole situation? He made it worse for the other dudes that actually had those privileges, were able to go on leave, go outside for the day. Like, yo, that's crazy, bro. Over here, that would never happen. You ain't gonna see daylight, freedom until you free, bro. They let them dudes go out like they on a motherfucking visiting pass. Oh yeah, you could go out for the day when you're supposed to be doing time. And now he made it worse for all the other kids that's coming behind them. Now they probably changed that policy, bro.
until a basement outside Stockholm was raided, and 2 members of the Death Patrol and Shaki was all found and arrested, with Shaki being sent back to serve his sentence. Now, if you know your geography, you'll know that Sweden borders another country called Denmark, but unlike Sweden, Denmark hasn't really seen much gang violence. In fact, Denmark is rated the 3rd most peaceful country in the world. But on June the 25th,
I need to move to Denmark, man. The way the world's going now.
2019, Denmark was subject to something that no one expected. So 3 members of the Shottaz gang arranged to meet a Norwegian musician to network and make some tracks together. So they took a 7-hour drive from Stockholm to the capital city of Denmark called Copenhagen to meet up with the musician. But what they didn't know was that the musician had actually led the 3 Shottaz members into a trap. Waiting for them in Denmark was 5 members of the Death Patrol gang who flew in there the night previous. When they arrived, the Death Patrol gang started firing into their car. The driver managed to get out and run behind the parking garage with a shot to his leg, but his 21-year-old brother-in-law and another member wasn't as lucky, both dying from the shooting. One of the Shottaz members even tried to get out the car.
So they'd committed that crime in a place that's supposed to be so peaceful that they'd never have situations like that. What do you think is gonna happen now? They're gonna start getting more stricter, start locking shit down more, you know, like, this is crazy, bro.
And crawl out. But a member of the Death Patrol gang got out of his car, reloaded his AK-47 and let off another 14 shots point blank range. The killers then took a picture of the 2 lifeless bodies and posted it all over social media. 5 men were charged and sentenced for the murder, where they are serving life in a Norwegian prison. One man being 23-year-old Muhammad Ali. Recently it was decided that the killers would be deported back to Sweden to finish off their sentence. But news broke out that Muhammad is begging the court not to send him back to Sweden, saying that in a Swedish prison his life will be in danger. He even said he would rather be sent back to Somalia, which is where his parents are originally from, just showing how dangerous this war is. Now, while all this violence and back-to-back killings were happening, a rapper from the Shottaz gang started to emerge. A kid called Yasin the Don, and he really blew up with one of his hit singles called Chicago. At the same time, there was another Swedish rapper running up on the scene, a kid called Einar from the other side of Stockholm, who was blowing up on the Swedish charts, getting the most streams on Spotify in Sweden in 2019. But around the same time, Einar was still knees deep in the streets, being affiliated with a gang called the Robbery network. Now, Yasin and Einar actually used to be cool, until Einar got into an argument with an affiliate of Yasin's gang, another big rapper in the city called Havel. After the argument, Yasin, Havel and Einar would make slight disses towards each other, until Havel invited Einar to an apartment to squash the beef. When Einar pulled up to the apartment, Havel and others kidnapped him, tying him up and holding him hostage in an apartment. During the kidnap, Havel stole his watch, his chains and held him for a £100,000 ransom. The gang even forced Einar to wear female underwear and took numerous pictures of him in embarrassing positions. Havel and his gang threatened that if Einar didn't pay the ransom money, that they would release the pictures. But Einar refused to pay, so the pictures were posted all over social media. At the same time, Swedish police were starting to crack down heavily.
Talk about adding salt to the wounds. It's like, listen, man, you already did what you did. Fuck it, I'm not gonna pay that $100,000. I'm gonna look more like a sucker if I do anyway. Because if you pay them, they still might release the pictures. So it's like, it is what it is. What you expect, bro? Like, that to me, that says more about them than him. Like, they forced him to wear women's lingerie. What type of fishy activities was that, bro? That was weird. You know what I'm saying? That says more about them than him. So I wouldn't even listen, bro. In that life, you take L's. You gotta chalk it up to that and keep it pushing. At least he lived
on Stockholm gangs. And once the pictures got released, they wanted to make examples out of Yasin and Havel. Same time, Swedish police were working with other countries on a crackdown of an encrypted network called EncroChat, which was a network where normally criminals would discuss illegal activities on an untraceable server, until the server was hacked by international authorities in 2020. During this hack, Swedish authorities managed to track messages sent by Yasin on the plot to kidnap the rival rapper Einar. Yasin originally plotted to lure Einar to a recording studio where they would have captured him, but Havel beat him to it. Both Yasin and Havel were both arrested for the kidnapping, with Yasin sentenced to 10 months and Havel sentenced to 2 years. But the court wasn't happy and wanted longer sentences.
10 months,
but to do this, they needed Einar to testify against them at court. Several months later, later, Havel's little brother is shot and killed, and Einar was the #1 suspect for this, but they had no evidence against him. But regardless of this, the court was still persistent on getting Yasin and Havel's sentence increased, but Einar was still refusing to testify, so the police set up a
he want to get it back in blood. He ain't trying to wait till them, you know, he want them to be free so he could do what he gotta do.
Fool's pickup from Einar's apartment, so he'd have no choice but to go to court. That same night that decision was made, Einar was shot dead with 1 bullet to the head and 2 to the stomach. No one knows the exact motive for the killing, but generally people think that it's because Einar was about to testify on the kidnapping. The shooters released videos on Snapchat just before the murder, with masks and the same Glock that was used for the murder. After the shooting, the killers released another video playing one of Einar's songs in the background, with the caption 1-0, but still, no one's been charged for the rapper's death. Yasin has since been released from prison for the kidnapping, but the feds still have him under investigation and could possibly re-arrest him for more serious charges to do with the kidnapping. He's also still a potential suspect for a murder on one of his own gang members that took place on New Year's Eve 2019. A 20-year-old Shottaz member called Vincent was shot dead in the back of a car in the early hours on New Year's Eve. In the car was 4 other Shottaz members, including Yasin. In the hours before, Snapchat footage shows
that sounds a little bit like some YMW Melly type
Yasin
shit.
and Vincent eating at a restaurant just moments before the murder. There was even footage of other members in the car giving Vincent a present. Police believe this was all recorded to try and cover up the Shottaz members' motives for the killing.
Wow, they killed a man on his birthday, bro. Took him to eat, got him gifts, made him thought it was sweet, lined him up, backdoored him, backseat him. Feel me? If you get lined up in the car, they backseat you. Feel me? Backdoor. We go.
Straight after the murder, Yasin booked the first morning flight to London, but was arrested shortly after.
Not funny.
Evidence shows that the shot was fired inside the car, and once they detained Yasin, they also found gunpowder particles on his clothes. Police say a possible motive for the murder was that Vincent had been getting closer with another gang in the area, but for now, Yasin and other members have all been released due to lack of evidence. Anyway guys, I hope this gives everyone a bit of insight into.
Alright, man, that was an interesting video, bro, and shout out to the dude that made this video because it was entertaining from beginning to end. I didn't get bored. He explained things, like he had good pacing. Like, yeah, this was a dope little documentary type video. I will definitely check out some more, and I will definitely check out the music, man. It's crazy like how he spoke about the history of the gangs and then fast forwarded to now with the music beefs. I thought that was dope. But yeah, if there's any artists from Sweden y'all want me to tap in with, or any of these dudes' music, let me know in the comments down below. Also, feel free to drop a like and subscribe, man. Support the channel. It's your boy Dollars. I holla. I'm out of here.
For my time goes by, they gon' raise a nigga jersey in the sky. Treat a nigga right, big dreaming on my life. Shorty wanna get some air, I go and get her when I fly. Taking off when these niggas are retired. The minute I catch fire, I smoked them all before, just revisiting the high.